Alrighty, so welcome to Before Spring Break. So it is Friday of week 2 in CIT 85, HTML, and CSS. And I just finished grading the submissions for students for their week 2 project, and they look great. I check, here's what I do when you submit really any work. What I do is I actually pull it into my local system. I run it through a series of checks and then I actually look at it myself and then I'm like, okay, good to go. And really for project 2 or week 2 ending project seemed pretty doable for you all. I think the only hookup, no, hiccup I saw was some folks still a little confused on the URL. So let me talk about that, and then I'll talk about, spring break concepts as far as, getting ahead. But one thing I want you to know is and let me say this, and I think this has hit one person in this class, so it's worth saying. From here on out, and if you didn't hear me say it, hopefully you hear this now. Only change what is on your code space or on your local system by modifying GitHub directly, and you can. I mean, GitHub allows you, there's a little pencil in there that allows you to modify that. But because we're using the Git, okay, so version control, anytime you change GitHub, right, and then you have your code space over here, or I think about it, your dev environments here, wherever you're working local or code space, if you then work in this area, your area which you need to be working in, and you try to push to GitHub, you're going to get this conflict. And so just know it is resolvable and it's just a pain. So don't modify anything directly on GitHub. Okay. So if you do, just know that conflicts will happen. You can search, these LLMs should help you with that. I do have a video I gave somebody to help with that. I think Brianna, our tutor, helped somebody with this as well. So it's worth saying right here is only modify. And in this case, you can think about it this way, only modify wherever VS Code is for you. So if VS Code is out on code space, only modify there. If VS Code is local, only modify there. Okay, so, and I said that because I was getting ready to go to GitHub, because one of the things is for every assignment, not for every assignment, you have to submit a commit history, and those are the code longs and the projects, okay, not the attendance. Although I do look at your commits. But as an example, I generally have been coding, I think, in demo. Let me see. Oh, actually, demo.preg. Okay. So that's the other thing is that when you're, anyway, let's finish this. So when I say give me your commit history, right, that means go to wherever you just finished working. So in this case, it'd be project, and then you would hit that history button, okay, and then you would give me that URL. Now, what I do, and this is not a good example because you wouldn't see the commits, but for you, the reason I want you to go to that history inside of GitHub is so that you can see the commits, because that's part of how I grade is I look at your commits, I look at the code that was required, what was required for that commit, and I make sure your commit aligns with the code. Now, if you make a mistake and you realize it afterwards, just do another commit. It's not a big deal. Like, my hope would be that it's all contained within that one, but if you have an extra one there, not a big deal. By the way, there are ways to, because some might want to go out to these LLMs and ask it, how do I revert? And you know what? Yes, you can do that, but for a class like this, don't do that. Just go ahead and do another commit, and you can even say fixing issue. You can see kind of the standard length I'm using for the commit messages here in this course. So project, this would be you'd want to look at your commit history URL that you're going to provide me in GitHub. I'm showing it here. And if it's a project, at the end should be that project. And then you should see, oh, actually, I don't have it on here. See, this is a good example. I should see a couple things, right? My repo commits, and then main, because that's the main branch we're on, which we haven't talked about, not a big deal, and then whatever folder, okay, that I'm on. So in that case, if I'm working on week 1, right, then I would do here, and I would go look at that URL to see, okay? So that's been one of the things I've noticed has been consistent. In a couple of, not everyone, most of you have gotten it. Honestly, many of you have gotten it, I think, because you've taken my other classes and you kind of know how I like things. Details are important. File names are important. In general, file names are all lowercase. And by the way, no spaces. It's the same concept of the repos that you did. Okay. All right, so I wanted to say that. And then the other thing is I offer 2 late passes. And what that means, and the reason I offer them is like, because stuff happens in life. If something happens and you don't get work done, go ahead and complete that thing, whatever that is, and tell me, hey, I'm actually going to use a late pass for this. Okay. So if I was you, I would really rather, because then you want to think of which things do I want to use late passes for, and that would be where you might go over to simple syllabus here and look at, okay, well, how is this course graded? Because you want to use a late pass for the thing that has the biggest impact on your grade. And the simple syllabus is still coming in right now. So in this case, I would say scroll down and look at, which by the way, also, I have a communications plan when I'm around because I'm guessing you and I have different work schedules, right? And so anyway, go down here and then I talk about the attendance policy itself, the AI use, and then the dates and then the layout. But then you go here, okay? So project work has the biggest impact on your grade. So if I was a student, I'd want to use my late passes for my project stuff. Now, you get 2 to start with. How can you get more? Well, that's where going to see Brianna helps you, because by going to see her, you actually can get a late pass, right? You have to actually come in and get help. You can't just go by and say hi, although do, because she's awesome and you should. But in this case, project work has the biggest impact. You can earn more passes by going to see Brianna, okay? And you can see her schedule. You can see my schedule on simple syllabus. You can see her schedule on week 0, and there is her schedule, okay? So now the other thing I want to say is that today's Friday, and I always like to look at the calendar, right? So if you're not looking at the calendar, it's just good to see where we're at in the RL, because you may see this at another time. Okay, so I just finished. Oh, wrong class. Okay, so in this case, this is 85. You can see I teach a couple of classes. So your project 2 was done, and now, and that's what, when you see that line through it, that means it was due and now it's over. But you can see this, that spring break is this week. And I know I talked about spring break, but I'm going to do this video before I head out, because here's the deal. And is that during spring break, people are taking a break. And so if you're working, great. If that's something that you feel like, oh, you know what, I got to get caught up, or maybe I want to move ahead, which I'll talk about in a minute, you're not required to for the course. And this is where having some flexibility based on your own schedule. You know, if you're behind, I definitely suggest, if you can, get caught up over break. If you want to work ahead, I want to give you something if you want to work ahead. But in this case, Brianna and myself are actually not available during spring break. I'm biking almost the entire spring break. I love to cycle, and it's one of my joys in life that I actually get to do. So I'm doing it for about a week. And so just know that, and in this case, I did publish already last week, week 3, but today I looked at week 4 and I'm going to go ahead and publish week 4 as well. So in case you wanted to actually work on it, you could. And the attendance video, there is a video for how to do attendance, but I'm not going to do right now the course topics, because by the time we get back from break, I may have some things I want to talk about there. But I will talk about this 0 magic code rule. So, and it's the idea of that when you're doing the projects, you only want to be using the code either I've covered in the attendance, or Kevin has covered in the code along. So it can be tempting to say, oh, I want to do this with my site. I want to go use this out there. And the answer is no, because you want to stay, because we're translating, see how well the concepts that we were introduced to are translating into our sites. Okay, so that's what zero magic code, because oftentimes that's where somebody goes out to the LLMs and ask it to generate something. And remember, for this class, this is a what I term a mechanic class, which you actually want to learn how to write HTML and CSS. Now, you can use these LLMs to help you understand something, and this is a really key way I think is best to use these large language generative AI models is to actually help you learn something you may not have clicked with you. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about. I will make this as an announcement. I will publish week 4, and I hope you have a great break, whatever it is wherever you're at and whatever it is your goals are, or just, maybe no goals, just hanging out, which is cool too. I support people having whatever they need in their life to achieve the goals that they have. All right, have a great one, and I'll see ya after break. Mhm.